Hi everyone, and welcome to another info session. In the session today, we will be focusing on API automation, the product previously known as ExFlow. And today we will be focusing on user management and best practices. As you see, we are now using a new tool, so we're using GoToWebinars instead of Teams. And if you have any issues or problems or any questions regarding this, please reach out to me and I will try to help you. Before we get started, I'd like to briefly mention something new. SignUp software, previously known as ExFlow, we had ExFlow products and then extensions and then SKSoft and Dynamic Web, were previously owned by the same company. And we are now Truvio. So now we're unified under one shared brand, as you might have noticed. So our ambition is to better serve you by bringing together all these different products that is one unified offering to you instead of several. So what you value today, nothing will be changed. We're still the same people, same teams, it's the same products, but we have more products to offer, same support and so forth. So that way, if you now hear from Truvio, then you know that it's us and you know exactly who we are. And if you have any more questions about this, please reach out to me and then I will answer them. These are some guidelines for the info session. Your microphones and cameras are turned off, meaning that you won't be able to ask any verbal questions. So we have the question little icon up on there in the top far corner. I will show you soon, where you can ask your questions. And if we don't have time today live in the session to look at the questions, I will reach out to you afterwards. So you will get your answers. The info session is recorded. We are now collecting all of the sessions in one YouTube playlist. So you will receive an email after the session today with the link to the YouTube playlist, and you will also receive links regarding the topics from today's session so that you can go to our manual to read some more about it. We will do the walkthrough in Business Central. So if you're having an older version or another ERP, for example, Navision, it will look different. So please keep that in mind. And the duration for this session today is 25 minutes. And this is where you find the place where you can write all the questions. So this is the icon you click on and then write your questions. And please don't write anything personal. If you have any personal questions, please reach out to me or your support to get help with those. And this is the agenda. We will do the walkthrough today in Business Central as mentioned. So everything that we say there will be connected to the PowerPoints and settings and actions that we will go through in the PowerPoints after the walkthrough. And then if we have time, then we will do the questions and answers. So with that said, let's jump into Business Central. Okay, let's see. I hope that you can see the screen now. So let's start here. Today we're going to talk about ExFlow users, and the things I will talk about today might be helpful if you're going to create a new user. Then you will understand what some of the buttons and the fields mean. It might be helpful also, for example, if you have an employee that's going on leave. I will cover that scenario and stuff like that. So let's start with ExFlow users, the ExFlow users page. So then you can either search up here for that page in the magnifying glass, or you can push Alt Q and then write ExFlow users. And you don't have to write the full name here. You can just write parts of it and then you will find it anyway. A little tips here is to use a filter function if you want to filter, and this is a business standard function. So you have it here. You can then filter on many things, for example, blocked, if you want to see all the blocked users, or something else related to extra users, the fields here. You can then save, if let's say you want to see all blocked, we click yes. You can see a little save button here, and you can save it, and later on you will have it here. So you don't have to use the filter, click here, add the filters and so on. So you can have it saved if you want to. And if we start on the top here and talk about some of these, let's start with add replacer. So let's say that I want to add a replacer for any of the users here. Then I simply select the user by clicking on that user. So let's say I want to add a user for this one, click add replacer, and then a new window will open where you will enter details of such who's the replacer and when and so on. And I will cover this in the PowerPoint in just a little bit. Next, we have approval group, and this applies also on the line you're on. So let's say if you're on this line, click on here, you can see the approval groups of this user. And approval groups can sometimes be confused with approval rules. So an approval group is automatically created when a new user is created, and each user has at least one approval group, but they can be a part of multiple groups. So the approval group is what you assign on the approval rules. So in other words, it represents the user's approval role, you could say. So let's go to ExFlow approval rules to just have a look at this. Let's open this approval rule. So you add everything in your rule, but then you need to add the approval rule lines here. So who should be the approvers in the rule? And here you can see it says approver group. So you add the approver groups to the rule. So if someone is set as a replacer for a user, then they're temporarily added to that user's approval group during that period. And that's how it works when you're a replacer. You're added to that group. You can also see all of your hidden approvers or users. So when you click here, you can see it popped up a line here. I have one user that's blocked, fully blocked, that is. I will show you in a bit how to block some of the companies if they have permissions in several companies. So over here, you can see that it's totally fully blocked. And if you want to hide it, you click on it again. We also have user fact box size over here. So if you have a user that's working in Business Central, you can adjust their fact box settings here. So this is useful if you want to change the default size of the fact box for one or more users without affecting everyone. And the fact box, it's the panel on the right side. So for example, in the import journal, it's where you see the invoice image and you have the chat or the discussion panel, for example. And then next we have send reminder. And if you need to send an extra reminder to a specific user, then you can go to this page. You can then select the user and then click on send reminder here. You can also send reminders directly, like from approval status as well. But if you know, okay, this person, we need to send out extra reminders to that one, then you go here, mark the user you want to send it to, click on send reminder, and then this will be sent as a reminder covering all companies if the user is associated with several, and it will be combined into a single reminder. So it's not, if it's several companies, it's not several emails, for example, it's just one combined. And then depending on how you configure the reminders or the notifications, it's sent as an email or in Business Central. So it depends. Yeah, and then under actions here, we have batch create ExFlow reference and create ExFlow reference. So let's say that you have not worked with ExFlow references yet, and you want to start working and you want to create an ExFlow reference for all of your users. Or if you're new in the system and you want to create for all of them, then click on Batch Create ExFlow References, and then it will be for all of the users. If there's some users you want to create on the reference for, then you will mark the line and then click on Create ExFlow Reference. So let's open a user card. There's quite a lot of information on the user card. So let's talk about some of the most important or specific, or it might not be easy to understand what they mean. So let's go to this user. If you need to add a replacer, you can do it on the first page, but you can see that you also have the add replacer on the user card specifically as well. Let's start with user ID here. And user ID, this is what you will see in Business Central as the name of the user. Next, we have username. And username is the name that's displayed in the approval web, in the approval flows then. So when a user sees the next person that the invoice is going to go to, then you will see this name. We also have authentication email, and this is used for logging into the approval web. So it's the email address the user signs in with. You can also set an email address on the Business Central card, Business Central user card. So if configured there, reminders will be sent to that address. And if no email is specified there, then the reminders will be sent to this email here. And then we have language code. And this is the setting that determines the language in which the reminders are sent. So here it says English, for example. And then we have preferred approval client. So here you choose whether the user will approve documents in the approval web or in Business Central. And the most common is for sure ExFlow web, so the approval web. And when the user receives a notification that they have a document to approve, then the link in that email will take them to what you've chosen here. So if it's ExFlow web that you chose, then that's where the link will take them. In the middle here, you can see that it says blocked, and this user is not fully blocked. So if you block a user in all of their companies, then this will be ticked. You can see the per company that you have blocked as well. So you can see here that this user is blocked in one company, but in these two, the user is not blocked. So depending on if it's not blocked in all companies, then this one will not be ticked. But if it's all, then it will be. On the right here, we also have email reminders. So here you choose whether the user should receive email notifications for unapproved documents, the discussion panel, which is the chat in ExFlow web. You have the discussion panel in the fact box in several places in Business Central. And you can also choose for contract invoice reminders if that's applicable. And you also have under there Business Central notifications. So you can choose whether the user is working with ExFlow in Business Central. You can choose that notifications should be sent there as well for the same kind of reminders or notifications. And in Business Central, you get the notification like on the top part of the screen. Let's see on the permissions. We have 3 companies on this user. We have company name first. So you add the company here, which the user should be active in handling documents. You can also assign different permissions for each company. So if we go to web permission roles, you can see that it's different. These 2 are the same, but this one is different. And the web permission role is what the users can do in Approval Web or Business Central when they're approving a document, for example. And I will walk through the web permissions roles in the PowerPoint in a bit. And then we have user coding rule ID. So this one, you assign a coding rule to control what the user can do in Approval Web. And then we have dimension filters. So this is another way to give users in the Approval Web access to additional documents with the dimensions in the search history of the approval web. So the approver will be able to see all the documents with the dimension values that you include here. So for example, if you have a dimension that says administration department and you want the user to have access to all documents that include that dimension on the line, then you can add this dimension here, and you can also add several dimensions, and then they will see the history of those documents that include that value. Next to dimension filters, we have related resource numbers and related purchaser code. And these are used for the dynamic approval flows if you build them on, for example, projects. So they can be used also to send targeted email reminders, kind of, but definitely most for if you're working with dynamic approval flows. And you can find more information about dynamic approval flows on our documentation platform. Next to those, we have previously replaced by user. And here you can see in the block company, we have one. So you can see here that who is the replacer of this line, for example, when we block that user. And then next, we have max amount for final approval. So if the user is the final approval, the document is sent to be approved and the document exceeds this limit, then that you set here, then they won't be able to approve the document. So they'll see an error message in the approval web instead of being able to approve them then. And then you have the blocked column as well. So that's it. There's quite a few settings, it's functions and buttons to go through, and hopefully this has given you a clearer understanding of what you can do with ExFlow users when you, for example, set up a new user and so forth. And what I've shown here will also now connect to what I will cover next in the PowerPoint. So let's go back to the PowerPoint. Okay, so web permission roles. You can see them on the line as I showed previously. So this is where you see the web permission roles. And we have 4 different ones. We have approver, which can approve, reject, and set a document on hold. And then we have approver power. So it's the same as above, but you can also forward documents, add or change coding. For example, dimensions and accounts and so forth per line. And then we have approver super. It's the same as above. You can see all approved documents in ExFlow history as well. And then we have admin, and it's the same as above. But the admin can also configure settings that apply to all ExFlow web users. So there's a lot of admin settings that you guys can use in the approval web as well. And then we have also something that we call web user management. So here you have all the different web permission roles, and you can see, okay, the approver can it's not allowed to do coding. It's not allowed to split lines, for example. So here, if you want to adjust the roles a bit, then this is where you go and you can do some changes to that. So let's go through some scenarios. So let's say that you have an employee that's going on leave. So in Business Central, you can do it on the first page, ExFlow users that I showed you, or you can open the user card and click on Add Replacer. And as I said, each user belongs to an approval group. So if a user is going on vacation, for example, and you or the user themselves can then add someone to replace them. And you would then add a replacer, and that replacer then becomes a part of the same approval group, as I said earlier as well. So this allows both the original user and the replacers to view and approve invoices during the specific period that was chosen. So in other words, both can manage the documents, but only one approval is required. And to add a replacer in Business Central, you go to, for example, the user card then, if you want to open that. And then this will appear. So then you first click on Add All Companies, or you can untick this one, and then you will choose which company. You will then add Replacer. So you will then add Replacer. And then you will add start date and end date, and then you click on Add Replacer. This one is easy to miss. So click on Add Replacer. And then you can then see down here the replacers for this user. And if this user already has some replacers, you can see that here as well. And if you want to follow up and see some kind of report of all of your employees that has replacers, then you can see that if you go to ExFlow Reports, click on User, and then ExFlow User Replacements. So then you can see a report of everything in one place. There's all the users can also add replacers themselves. So in the ExFlow web, they have the little replacer button on the bottom left side of the page. So they click there. Then they will get this little window, and then they click on Add. And then it's the same here. They choose if it's all companies. If not, then they add what company, what user that should be a replacer, the start date, end date, and then they click on Add. And then on the right here, you can see how it looks like when it's done. So they can follow their own replacers, and then they can also take them away by clicking on the trash icon to the right. So it's very easy for the users as well to add this. Let's look at the scenario if an employee is leaving the company. So you can add a new user to the you can give access to a new user to the history, and you can replace approval and coding rules. So let's say they have a CFO and the CFO is leaving the company. Then you can add all the history and add that new CFO to the existing CFOs that's leaving them to their history. So the new one gets all the information they need to approve documents moving forward. And you can, as I said, block per company or totally. And you simply click on block unblock. So you go to the line, the company you're going to block, and then you click block unblock user. Then you will get this window. So in new user here, there you add who should be the new user. You then click in access history and replace approval rules and coding rules. And if you don't want to give access to history and the rules and so forth, you don't have to. You then only need to add a new user. And this is important because if there are documents currently out for approval, the new user will automatically receive them then and ensure a smooth and hassle-free transition if your employee leaves the company. And then, as I said in the presentation, you can see if it's fully blocked on the top part, and then per line, you can see if it's blocked and who replaced them. If you have a user that's rehired, then you need to reactivate them. Keep in mind that they won't automatically be added back to their previous approval rules if they were replaced earlier. And in those cases, you will need to reassign them to the relevant approval rules manually. So then you simply go to the user you want to unblock. You click on block unblock, and then you will get this message, and then you just click on yes. And those were the things today. Our time is out, so if you have asked any questions, if you wrote any questions, I will get back to you after the session. I have a few other things I just want to show you guys and tell you guys before you leave. So just some tips to get for you to get some more information on how to work with ExFlow API automation. Our documentation platform has our manuals and release notes and more. I will send you the link with the email later today. We also have video tutorials there, so you can see short videos about some different functions and information in the system. And then we also have the info sessions, and I will send you the link to the upcoming info sessions so you can register for them if you want to participate. And also, I'd like to take a moment now that we are Truvio to introduce one of our other products as well, expense management. So this is a solution that digitized the entire expense process. Previously, it was named ExFlow Travel and Expense. So you might have heard about this before. So employees can easily, for example, register expenses like receipts in the cell phone. We added some AI functionality to this, so it's better than ever, and it's automatically most of the things you can set up for automatically workflows. It's policy-based workflows, and it ensures accurate data. So it gives you real-time visibility and faster workflows, and it's a more efficient month-end close with less manual work, basically. And if you want to know more about this product, please reach out to me and I will give you some more information. And upcoming info sessions. Now in May, we have one more session. We have one in English and one in Swedish. It's the same one. And it's about simplifying processes. So if you work manually in some processes, we might catch up on those and give you some tips. So we give you smart settings that makes a difference. And then in June, we have the info session regarding expense management. And we will talk then and show you about everything that you can do on a mobile. And that was it for today. Up on the right here, you have the QR code. If you scan that, you will get my email and my phone number. So please scan it and reach out if you have any questions. And also, please don't forget to reach out to your support team if you have something that you need help with. Okay, thank you for today, everyone.